Ready, set, go. I can't do that. I can't do that being on the screen.
Pretend like you're talking to Carol.
Hi,
Pretend like that's Carolyn right there. The camera is Carolyn. Hello, Carolyn. Are we on right now?
You're on.
Okay.
It's rolling.
It's perfect.
Okay.
Hi, Mom. It's Peter, your baby boy. I love you. I was thinking a lot about some of the memories I have of you lately. One in particular jumped out. It's a very vague memory. I was probably like 3. And I couldn't sleep one night. And you took me down to a rocking chair in the living room of 3280 Orleans Street, where we used to live, where I grew up. And you wrapped this yellow and blue Afghan around me, and you just sang to me for what felt, at least in my memory, it feels like it was hours. It probably wasn't, but you sang Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. You sang Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And I cried and cried and cried, and you just kept singing. You kept a calm head, and you just kept singing.
Alright. Did you push it already?
Yeah.
Hey Mama, this is Beth. Just want you to know how much I love you. I was thinking about some stories about my childhood, about growing up, and I have so many memories of you, it's hard to pick just a few. But one of my favorite memories, I'm gonna cry. This is horrible. It's just because I love you so much. But I remember as a kid kind of being nervous about going to people's houses and things, and you always let me know that I could always come home. That no matter where I was, no matter what had happened, no matter any circumstance, I could always call you and you'd always be there for me. And you always were. And I really appreciate that.
Hi, Mom. It's Nick, your oldest and your favorite child. You don't have to admit to that, but we all know it's true. I just wanted to share a memory with you from when I was a kid, spending time with you. One of the strongest memories I have, and one of the best memories, is when I was really little. I think probably before even Ellie was born. We used to walk a lot we used to walk everywhere, but we often would walk to Milroy Park, which, if you remember, we'd go up the street, up East Marshall Avenue, and then a lot of times we'd take a back alley and go down the city steps that took us down to Milroy Street. We'd go play at Milroy Park, and one of the games that we would play a lot is there was a kind of a long, tall jungle gym thing. It wasn't very wide, but it was very tall, and I'd climb up and down through these things. I think it was yellow for a long time, but they painted it a few different colors. I'd climb around this jungle gym, and while I did that, you would talk to me as if I was a stranger. You'd say, "Hey, little boy, I see you have curly hair." Or you'd say, "Hey, little boy, I have a boy who has curly hair." And then I would say, "I have curly hair." And you'd say, "Well, my little boy is 4 years old." And I'd say, "I'm 4 years old." And you'd say, "My little boy likes to eat mac and cheese." And I'd say, "I like to eat mac and cheese." After a few different questions, I'd finally say, "Well, I'm your little boy." And I'd jump off the jungle gym and give you a big hug, and you'd hug me. That was a silly but a very special thing for me as a little kid. I loved going on those walks with you.
Hi Mom, this is Mary Jean Layland, named after your mother. Born March 12th, 1986, at Allegheny General Hospital. You were there. And from what you and Dad say, I came out like this, lickety split, as you say. Here's midnight with me. You might not stay. But I was going to start out with some of the memories of you and in my childhood. I'll involve some of My siblings, your children. Okay. When I was a little kid, very little, I remember that you used to read us stories at night. And one of the things I love so much about the way you read stories was you would always do voices, and you were very good at doing voices. And that made the stories so much more fun and magical. And I love that.
Hi, Mom. It's me, Ellie. Just thinking about the things that I love about you and that your strengths. I was thinking about how you know, although now you struggle with communicating and verbalizing your thoughts and your feelings sometimes, that's something that you were so good at, and that, you know, whenever there was a problem, you never wanted us to just be quiet or ignore the problem, that you wanted to talk about it. And your ability to communicate your feelings and your thoughts helped us to do the same thing. And all of us felt very comfortable with you and wanted to share our thoughts and our feelings with you and our problems. And so that's helped now that, you know, a lot of us are married or just with our friends or significant others or whatever, helped us communicate in those relationships, and also with our kids too. And just something I really appreciate about you. And so, you know, now it's sad to see, you know, sometimes you struggle with your words, but, you know, we know that it's in there and that you want to communicate, and, you know, we appreciate that and still love talking to you. I love talking to you on the phone. Okay, just tell me how you met.
Okay, well, from what I remember, I had been to your house a couple times with your brother.
Right.
And so there were a bunch of GIs who hung out with the older dependents, because they were close in age. Everybody was like early 20s, late teens, kind of thing. So there was a crowd that kind of just hung out together at RAF Chicksands in England. And I'd been to your house a few times, and one time I was there, and you were there, and he introduced you to this group of us. And when he mentioned my name, you said, "Oh, do you have a blue Volkswagen?" And I said, "No, you're thinking of Mike Spadaccini," and who had a blue Volkswagen. Yes. And we kind of looked the same. We both had dark hair and mustaches and kind of thing, wore glasses. So, you know, I said, "No, that's this other guy." And it was like, "Oh, okay." And that was kind of the end of it. Well, that was the first time I met you. And then I think I was back at your house another time, and you and your mom were there, and we were watching TV or something like that. And I remember you guys kind of fighting over a blanket. It was, you were laughing. You were kind of giggling and laughing with each other, but you were like, "Mom, you're taking all the blanket," you know? And so I have that vague memory.
Yeah. We're going to tell you some of our favorite memories of you. Maybe not favorite, but memories.
That stick out.
That stick out. And Dylan's going to go first.
You got to start in chronological order and talk about one of the things you remember from.
Oh, okay. One of my favorite things as a kid was going to Kennywood. I love roller coasters. I love amusement parks, and it was such a fun family tradition for me. And I remember I really wanted to ride the Thunderbolt, which was a roller coaster, and you came on with me, and we were going on the roller coaster, and then the very last hill was this super steep hill. And I remember the bar, when we went down, the bar came up, and you just grabbed me and you held on to me. You've always been such a protective, loving mother. And it was scary, but then we kind of laughed about it.
Some of the things that I remember the most that touched me the most, I remember when I first moved in with you guys, that you always got us up in the morning so that we could read scriptures together. And I remember all of us being groggy and tired, and especially Pete because he was so little, but we would always come up into the attic and climb up on your bed, and half the time you'd be in garments, and we would read scriptures together as a family, and it was always so memorable and a great example to me.
Another thing I loved, I was thinking about it, was when we would ride in the car, all of us siblings, Ellie, Beth, Nikki, Peter, me, we would fight sometimes, depending on who all was in the car. And your way of calming us down a lot of times was for us to sing. And that's one of the greatest things you ever instilled in me, was singing. And we would sing Disney songs and church songs, and and sometimes you would blast the radio and you'd sing with it, and you had a great voice. I know you never thought you did, but you were great, and it was fun. Some of the music I didn't even know, and you knew. You were a pretty cool lady. And then the other thing I was thinking about was, what was it now? What did I say? Brain freeze. I don't remember.
Games?
No, can you pause it?
What strikes me, Mom, about you is that you always wanted all of us to be happy. That was so clear. With all of your actions and everything you ever did for us, you wanted us to be happy. You know, I went through my moody high schooler phase, and I'd come home from school and you'd say, "Peter, how are you?" And I'd go, "I'm okay." And you'd say, Peter, please be happy. I just want you to be happy." You know, it was hard for a high schooler to hear. But, you know, having grown up and, you know, having spent a whole lifetime or a fraction of a lifetime with you as my mom, that's so clear that you always wanted us to be happy.
When I was a child, you always, I was very shy and nervous sometimes. I could be very goofy too, but you taught me to, as I've gotten older, to fight for myself a little bit, and to, you know, you were such a good mom at standing up for me. I remember when I wouldn't go to school and you went to the school board, and me being Goofy Mary, I was like, "Oh, everything's fine" and stuff. You fought for me all through it and supported me to the end, and you still have supported me, and it's one thing that I've loved and I appreciate, and I learned so much about that from you. I mean, if I ever have children, I want to be like that. To start with, Dad, would you tell us a little bit about how Mom has been self-reliant?
Yeah, it's Mom's ability to take charge of things is something I've always respected and really loved about her. You know, they talk about this myth of love at first sight and the things that bring people together, but that wears off very quickly. And I think the things that make a relationship work are when you really enjoy working together, when you enjoy going through the bumps and grinds of life and dealing with the things that are difficult. I think many of the evenings we've had where a date turned into like a service effort, doing something for somebody else, ended up being more memorable and maybe more rewarding and more fun than actually going to a movie or something like that. We come back with an experience. And so I've always appreciated Mom's attitude. She is willing to put aside her own fun and pleasure for doing something that's meaningful or helpful to somebody else, or helpful to us even, if we had a project at home that took precedent over going out. So Mom's always been able to tackle things on her own.
You were a tough lady, and you don't give yourself that credit, but you definitely were a very intelligent, tough lady. Also, you read a lot, and I remember when I had to write a report on Clan of the Cave Bear, and I didn't read most of it, and you had read it, and you helped me write the whole report, and I got a good grade, and thank goodness you were there for me, and you were so intelligent, and you had your paper, and I stole some of the lines from that. You were great.
One of the most dramatic, most significant to me was, and we talked about this recently that I recalled, was at the end of the childbearing years, Mom had a partial hysterectomy, and she had a procedure done on her bladder. And she was in a lot of pain, but life didn't stop for her. It was dawn till dusk. Taking care of kids, doing church work, and running around, and she had this catheter in, and she was terribly uncomfortable. She was having trouble peeing, and one night she was like hardly able to pee at all, and she was in bed. I said, "Get a good night's sleep. Maybe you'll need to go to the doctor tomorrow." So it was the early hours of the next morning. It was around the time I would be getting up to go to work, and Mom was just coming back to bed, and I learned that she had been in so much pain. She drove herself down to the AGHER, went in, and they recatheterized her. She was there for hours, much of the night, getting recatheterized, and then drove herself back home and crawled back into bed to get an hour's sleep before starting the day. I said, "Why didn't you wake me up? I could have taken you." You know, it was like, "Oh, you work hard, you need your sleep," and you know, and it just says so much about Mom that she puts, you know, her own comfort and everything aside to consider everybody else. Well, you do. You always have. You always.
I can remember we would also often walk down to a drugstore that was down near Charles Street. It was on Perrysville and Charles Street, back when that neighborhood was a little nicer. And we'd walk down there, and I don't remember much of what you'd get, but I remember I would always beg for and often got a big lollipop, sometimes these nice square ones, or a big kind of oval lollipop. I love to go down there and ask for lollipops, and you usually gave me one from what I can remember.
Mom, you're so loving, and we're all so grateful for that. And we love you so much. You and Dad were wonderful parents. You came from kind of opposite angles and complemented each other so well. And I'm so grateful for the example of love that, you know, you set for us and the love that you showed us. You're so giving. You give everyone everything. You don't want to keep anything for yourself. You want to give and give and give. And as an adult, that's a quality I admire and something that I want to emulate, something that I want to do in my own life.
You know, you would skip family events. I remember the year that we were going to see the Scrooge at CCAC.
Oh yeah.
And there was a crisis with Dolores Mitchell's family, and you said, "I'll take care of Dolores. The rest of you guys go. You don't want to miss this." And you know, we felt so bad, and it was very frustrating to Mary. But you were the one that I should have been the one to do that. But you said, "No, you take the kids. You need to take the kids to this," and you took care of Dolores. So Mom's, you know, somebody that can tackle just about anything. We kind of recall some things that she doesn't do as much now that she used to do, is all her telephone skills. Getting on the phone and solving a billing problem, spending, you know, hours on the phone, going through these answering services and talking with different people and being referred to another department to resolve a billing problem to save us some money. But she was tenacious, and she could work through those things and pull it off.
I always felt such a bond to you. I always felt like you weren't just a mom, you were just a confidant and a friend, and I really, really want to raise my kids the way that you raised me, the way that I feel like I can always come to you, and I adore you. I adore you more than you'll ever know, and I'm grateful for your testimony, for even the times whenever you were struggling. You always were just persistent, and you always said things. As a kid, I would hear those things and I would think, I'm never gonna say that to my kids. But you would say, you know, fake it till you make it. If you're struggling, you just keep going and just keep going, and eventually you'll get there and you'll be strong. And so I tell my kids that. I tell myself that over and over again. You always used to say, you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar, which was super annoying at the time. But I think it all the time. I tell my kids that. I tell them, you know, catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. You gotta be sweet and loving and kind.
The other thing that I remember always doing with you is going food shopping. It was one of my favorite things to do. And we would go out later in the evening when it was night and have time with just us, and we shopped, and there was never a care in the world about what we were buying or the money that we were spending, but it was something that really meant a lot to me, and I loved the time that we got to spend together doing that.
Mom, do you remember, we were talking also about just working on the house. Do you remember some of the things that you did to help fix up the house?
Well, one time we went and I asked Michael about something, and he kind of told me this is what has to be done. And so then I went and found a guy who would plaster, and I didn't want him to plaster it for me, so I asked him if he would teach me how to do it so that I could go home and do it, and he did. And he told me all the things that we needed in order to get the plastering done and how to do it, and so I went home and Michael helped and the kids helped, and
But you took the lead.
Yeah, you were definitely the main one doing it. It was the ceiling had fallen down.
Yes.
And so not only, I mean, it was really hard to do because you know, it's the ceiling. So
right.
yeah, I remember that well. I remember you doing that, and I remember you getting books from the library too.
Yeah.
And looking at those and
Trying to figure it out. Yeah. Oh, that was a long time ago. I've forgotten that.
Yeah.
Another thing that I remember is when I was little, you taught me to swim. We would be at Riverview Pool in Riverview Park, and we'd be in the 4 feet, and I would be holding onto the wall, and you'd walk away and say, swim to me, and I'd be nervous, but I'd do it, and you'd keep walking, and it was a little nerve-wracking, but it really, I felt really proud because I kept getting further and further because you pushed me and you helped me to do that, and that was awesome. And today, because of that, I think all of us siblings, we learned from stuff like that. You taught us to be fishes, all of us, and that's awesome. So I appreciate that too.
The one other thing that I remember is being at college, and we would get phone calls, Beth and I, at about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, and it would be you calling us to see how we were doing. And we always wondered why you called so early, but you told us that was the time that you knew for sure that we would be home. And so you called us very, very early in the morning, and we loved it.
But you got things done, and I remember painting projects. I would always think okay, we need to plan this out. Maybe in a few weeks we can clear a room. But when you decided you were going to paint a room, I'd come home from work, the furniture was moved, and you were up on a ladder painting. You didn't waste any time. You said, no, we're painting these rooms. We're going to get this done. And you never drag your feet. When you put your mind to do something, you were able to do it. And you had quite a skill set. I always appreciated even just help with yard work and tackling things on your own. I mean, even in recent months, for me to talk about how frustrated I was because I was tied up at work and wasn't going to get home till it was dark, and because I had to go to church after work, and I'm never going to get this lawn mowed. So I come home and you mowed the lawn. The next night I come home and you weed whacked the backyard, and you could barely figure out how to run the weed whacker, but you stuck with it till you got it working,
Yes,
and you did the job, and it was done. And I was like, wow, this is a big help, So I really appreciate those kinds of things. I think it's what makes a relationship grow stronger is when you feel like you can really depend on somebody.
Yes.
And that's what I think that's what love is really about. It's about doing something for each other. The Savior showed His love to us by making ultimate sacrifice, and we make sacrifices to show our love for each other.
Yes.
And also, Mom, you have fought through everything for me with my healthcare problems, my first bike accident. You were there a lot of nights holding me. I remember one night the nurses could not console me, could not calm me or anything, and they called you, and you were right there. And I remember, even though I was 17, you held me like a baby in your arms, and nothing in this world soothed me more. And I just, do you remember also that I would call like every day and leave you guys messages? Hi, this is Mary, just calling to see if you're picking me up today. And you guys put up with it, and it was like 100 messages on the answering machine. Peter could remind you, but you were so wonderful to me and so patient and loving.
Even things as simple as cleaning the house. I remember, we would be assigned different jobs, but then you said, we're a team, we all work together, and so we help each other out. Where the house isn't done until it's done. No one's done working. You don't just finish your job and then be done. We all work together. You taught me a lot about just togetherness, about how family, we just work together. We're a whole. We're one unit.
So one of my first memories is when Patty and I were dating, and we still weren't sure about how serious we were or anything like that, but serious enough that I wanted to visit. So I came out to Pittsburgh, and I remember sitting in the kitchen, and we were just chatting with you, and you said, just out of the blue, I want to see you guys kiss each other. And I remember at that point we weren't totally comfortable with how our
We were
relationship.
very embarrassed.
A little embarrassed. Of course, I was game. I was like, great, let's have a kiss right now. And Patty was like, oh no, and you were like, no, let me see you kiss each other. Let me see you kiss each other. And Patty was terribly embarrassed.
And we did not do it, right?
So in the same vein of embarrassingness,
We kissed for you.
there's your kiss for the camera.
And that's another thing, Mom, you have never given up on your children, and that's the same way I will never give up on you, Mom. You're the same person you were as when I was a little kid, and I love you so much, and don't forget that. I want you to know you are you, and you will be no different to me any day. You're my mom, and I love you for that.
You're a lot stronger than you ever realized. You're one of the most giving people I've ever met in my life. You are constantly wanting to make people happy and give, and I really, really appreciate that and respect your example. Your relationship with Dad is awesome. I'm grateful to have two parents who are so loving and kind, and who have such a great relationship with each other. The way you guys laugh together is awesome. You guys have a sense of humor that is fun and entertaining and unique, to say the least. So I'm grateful for that, for your example, for your relationship with Dad, for your relationship with all of the kids.
Alright, the other thing that I wanted to tell you about, Mom, that I really admire about you is your ability to figure things out. And again, I know now it's sometimes harder and frustrating because it's harder for you to figure things out, but you figured so many things out when we were young, and did so much on your own. And Dad was busy working or with church callings or whatever, and so you would just do stuff. You'd figure out how to get places, how to fix stuff in the house, who to call when there's a problem or whatever, and I remember you making me call places myself when I wanted something at a store and I needed to figure out whether that store had the item or not. You made me call, and I was always hesitant and nervous, but I was able to learn that skill so that now as an adult, I can do it when I need to, and although I do rely on Nate a lot, but that's what he's there for.
So that also, I love to read, and that was a lot to do, was instilled from you. You were a big reader. Do you remember always, Mary, run up and get my books and stuff, and we'd run up and get them, and you'd take us to wherever we wanted to go, out with our friends or whatever. That was very fun.
And then I also remember some point after we were married, well, not much longer, we went with you up to see Grandma Nyberg up in Caldwell. And we were going through her fridge and realizing that there were some things that were rather old and particularly in the freezer, some really old meat, I think. And I remember you telling us, let's just throw it away. She won't even know. We'll just throw it away. And I remember throwing it away, and Grandma Nyberg found out about it, and she got pretty angry. So that was kind of funny too. And then I also remember, I think it was for that same trip maybe, we have a picture of you swimming with Zelie, the little bitty baby, and just both of you, just a big smile on your face as swimming. I remember that was one of the things that sticks out to me. So.
And I don't know, you also, growing up in the church, I know that I don't go to church too often anymore or anything, but I want you to know that you and Dad have instilled in me, you know, that I know that the church is true. And you have taught me, and Dad have taught me, that Heavenly Father is real and He loves me. And I think that I've been, you know, you forget sometimes, and you become very worldly, and there's a lot of scary things that happen in this world, but one thing you have instilled in me is the testimony of the church that I know is true, and I will never deny that. And I love you, and I'm grateful for that.
Right, and that's another thing, that you and Dad work so well together, and that's such a good example for all of us kids to see your relationship, and especially now the way you lean on Dad, and you know he's leaned on you for years as you helped at home, and now you know you lean on him, and that's cool to see too, that you know as couples that's what we need to do.
I loved his, because my brother and my dad, they had no hair. You know, they had a little bit of hair, but not much. And then here comes Michael with this bushy hair coming out of his shirt. And I was like, oh, gosh, that's a good looking guy. He's got hair.
But behind the scenes, she thought it was funny. I remember you were telling your friends, "Oh, he's like the missing link."
That's not true.
He's part monkey.
No, that's not true. He is very handsome, very, very handsome, and very gentle. He's always been really gentle. Yeah, I was very lucky.
And I love our family and the blessings that we have from each other, and you taught us to love each other, and that will never change for me. And all your grandchildren, everyone, we love you very much. I love you, Mom.
I love you, Mom. Everybody loves you. Everybody I know. All of my friends, all of our family. Everyone loves you. Everyone is so grateful for you. And I always will be. I love you, Mom.
I really enjoyed spending time with you. That's just a couple of the memories. I've had many more memories over the years of growing up with you and learning from you and being loved and loving you. And I want you to know, Mom, I really do love you and appreciate all that you've done for me and for our whole family. I love you, Mom. Bye.
Carolyn, we love you, and we have many more memories.
Those are just a few.
Those are some of the highlights, perhaps.
Yes. So we love you.
You're the best, Mom. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
So I love you so much, and I'm so glad you're my mom. You're the best mom in the world, and here's to many more years of fun, and can't wait for you to live closer.
I feel very blessed. I'm just so blessed. Heavenly Father He's been so good to me and to my children, to my family. You know, one of the things that I used to like to do is I love to see people be happy. And I used to love to, and I still do it, I used to go and a woman would walk past me and I would say, "Oh, you are so beautiful." And they would, "Wow." But I think people are so beautiful. So
Mom, you see the world like we love how you always comment on how food is so beautiful too, and everything around you. You just like have these, you know, your eyes just see everything as beauty, and I think that's what Heavenly Father wants us to see.
yeah.
Most of us don't take the time to look up at the sky, but Mom looks up most nights. You know,
Yeah.
if we get out of the car and it's dark, she'll say, "Oh, look at the moon tonight. There's Orion. There, you know,
Yeah.
she loves looking at the stars."
I do.
So we're gonna pursue astronomy.
Yeah,
That's one of our bucket list objectives here is to take
Exactly.
an astronomy class and learn more about the sky.
Yeah, and we want to be able to do bird watching, and we want to do that too. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We have to get of course, our pith helmets and our khaki shirts and
Yes.
shorts and our knee socks and hiking boots and our binoculars. We have to get that equipment first.
We do have grandpas.
Okay.
We have Harry's. What are they?
Binoculars.
Called? Binoculars. Yeah. Yeah, that's fun.